Hey Earthlings, my name is Tom. I'm on the web at tdjacobs.com and also healingsuicide.com. This is a quick video. I'm an evolutionary astrologer, among other things. This is a quick video to introduce and to invite you to join me in a month-long webinar slash workshop slash intensive called Living with Saturn. I have a particular pet project, which is to help people understand more empowering ways to work with the planetary archetypes. And some of those that we dread or judge or fear include Saturn. And of course, as we age over time, we develop better perspectives. But I want to invite people of all ages to join me with Living with Saturn. Saying living with Saturn in ways that circumvent dread would be too clunky. Living with Saturn in ways that you enjoy will be too clunky. So living with Saturn. And it's a mix of, well, let me just lay out how it works. There's a set of introductory materials, which are MP3s, but then also my book, Saturn Returns. Obviously, nominally, it's about Saturn Returns, but it's really about turning the inner judge and critic, the part of us that has negative Saturn tendencies, into a positive, helpful mentor, coach, parent kind of energy. So that's where the book came from. It was my third book, so it's over a decade ago. And I just kind of wrote it on a lark because I noticed a lot of what I do responds to what I notice as trends in the collective, including in astrology groups and the mindset of masses of students or people that I encounter. And the idea of turning inner Saturn from something negative into something positive. Anyway, this book just kind of came from that in the framework of understanding Saturn returns. Anyway, so that's part of the course as a reference material. But also these other things, Saturn in the birth chart, how to understand this energy, how to understand this part of your energy, this part of your psyche, the archetype within you. What does Saturn want and how to live with it? So how to meet Saturn. So this workshop includes information on your natal placement, as well as in general Saturn in the birth chart, and how to deal with Saturn transits. And then, of course, progressions to Saturn is part of it too. So there's a series of MP3 informations, and also the Saturn book, the Saturn PDF ebook that's included. Beyond that, everyone who signs up will get a mini reading, a blind mini reading on their Saturn. So basically, May 19th is when it starts, and so now here we are, May 5th, 4th or 5th. I'm going to start to do the sign up so far, doing a blind read on each person's Saturn, where that read, because it has no personal information except the birth date and the first name, but the person's voice and questions aren't included. It's just me saying, okay, great, your Saturn's in the 5th, it's retrograde in Pisces. This is what that Saturn wants. Building that story for you in an empowered way. You get this MP3 when the course begins. Then we have a series of class calls where any attendee can bring questions about any of the Saturn materials plus their own mini reading. So you'll have access to everyone else's Saturn mini reading to hear and listen to and process and digest. So you can even compare two people with Saturn in the 6th, or two people with Saturn in Aries, but one's in the 7th, one's in the 8th. You know, if those kinds of examples come up with the numbers of people who sign up, you'll have access to all that. You can bring questions. Also, you can bring questions about your own Saturn to these group calls too. And the recordings of all the group calls, just like all the intro informations recordings, are available to everybody. So over the course of a month, my intention, starting May 19th, is to fill your head with positive ways of approaching and understanding Saturn, while we deconstruct and dispel myths about Saturn and the negative fear mongering, which seems natural to our astrological brains that want to say, well, Jupiter's good and Saturn's bad. It's baloney. Each has its ups and downs. And so this workshop focus on Saturn is meant to really dispel old crappy ideas while giving you tools, perspective, tips, tricks, exercises to make the most of your Saturn placement, and then to learn from each other also as we go. So that starts on May 19th. It goes for 4 weeks. All of the group calls, they're scheduled, but they're also optional. So let's say I've scheduled 2 per week, and let's say that you can only make 6. Okay, you'll have access to all 8 recordings. So, and anyway, what if you don't want to tune into any call? That's fine too. You can actually, probably a Google form, I'll make it available so that anybody, whether they're on the group calls or not, can submit questions and I'll answer them. So anyway, I'm really excited to do this. I did a longer one with Pluto last year, and the Pluto one, the Pluto Healing Intensive, is starting mid-July this year. I'll do more videos on that as we get closer to it. But I also did the root chakra incubator recently, where we had this incubator of all these questions about the root chakra and people submitting questions and getting readings and all this stuff. And it was really fantastic for people learning about how to do this. So this one, more astrology focused, less channeling guides, intuition stuff focused. But anyway, this is an astrology educational opportunity to upgrade your experience of Saturn, how to work with it given your own chart. And the last thing I'll say here is, let's say that you have Saturn retrograde and you have heard that your Saturn can't get off the ground. I would like to help you change your mind about that. Let's say you have Saturn in a water sign and you've heard that, or a water house, and you've heard that, well, that's the worst place for Saturn to be. I would like to help you upgrade your understanding of that and get the voices of unhealthy Saturn out of your head. So check out my site. When you go to tdjacobs.com, you see a bunch of pictures, or if you're on your little phone, it's a string of pictures in a column. And look for the there's a picture of Saturn that says "Living with Saturn." It's a black banner with a white text or yellow text or something. So check that out. I'm really looking forward to working with you to help you upgrade your experience of this essential archetype. It's part of you. Why would you carry around crappy, disempowered ideas of it? Because other people have handed it down to you. So let's change that. tdjacobs.com. Thanks for your time and energy. Take care.